get that going.
There.
All right.
That was the father-in-law.
There and yeah, I'll drop that down there. Oh, dropped the wrong one. All right.
Hey, Charles, I'm just curious. Have you ever heard of the band The Tragically Hip?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay, I was just wondering. Because a friend of mine asked if any of my international friends have actually heard of the Tragically Hip. Actually, well, we were talking about the Tragically Hip, and I said they're not popular anywhere outside of Canada. And people are like, really? I said, yeah, I can pretty much guarantee my international friends haven't heard of them. I said, maybe Charles, because he's like...
No, I have, but to be honest, how much I'd pay attention to a lot of that isn't
fair enough, yeah.
really. So I'm not a fair. I may not be a fair judge.
Yeah, well, fair enough, but still, I was just wondering. I was just curious about that. Because, like, anyways, Canada's weird because our artists that are Canadian, no one's heard of, and if they've heard of them, then people are surprised that they're Canadian.
Yeah,
it ends up being
a lot of movie stars are like that.
Yeah, because
it
ends up being like the William Shatners and the Shania Twains and Justin Biebers, and people are like, what? They're Canadian?
And Lauren Green from Bonanza.
Yeah, Lauren Green, yeah. But if it's like someone who's like famous and like someone who's considered like a Canadian artist, like I said, the Tragically Hip or the band Big Sugar, 5440, I'm sure like, yeah. Anyways, I just think it's weird because like, well, whatever. I'm gonna go for a bio and I'll be right back. See you.
Hey Ryan, you sure she's there? Because I don't see her here.
No, she's not there. Never mind.
Wonder if she's on the right link. Or maybe. There she be. There she be. now just for Alex and Mike.
Mhm.
Let me do
I
this.
think I'm on the right link.
Yeah, you're on it now. I can see you.
Great.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yay.
I'm gonna get a cleaner link to post down there than the way I did it. Let's see here. Copy URL, and then go back over here. And
So you think we'll be able to keep this castle once we take it?
Maybe, maybe not. Depends if they're evil or benign.
Well, I hear 3,
I'm here, homie. You hear me?
4.
Hi.
Yeah. I hear 4. Is Cloud around?
a little better. There.
How was your week, Michael? Or couple weeks or whatever? Finally got my computer all straightened out,
Well, that's good.
which I just ended up taking it to a guy and he just did a factory reset pretty much. Rebooted it from scratch.
Well, as
Installed
long as it's up and running and right.
Oh
What does
yeah,
it matter?
it is now. Except the thing is Apple is, you know, they have their ways of doing things. My music library was shared with my computer, my phone, my iPod. But now that my computer's been whatever, I only have it on my phone and my iPod. You can't backwards.
Huh.
Do you know what I mean? I can't
Yeah.
share my music library from my phone to my computer. I got to find some sort of runaround behind that. I see that there are third-party softwares which allow you to do that, but I'd like to do it without spending money to just do something that should be something so seemingly simple.
Yeah, one would think.
But even right now, though, because it is like the new operating system, there's very little reference of it on the internet, right? Like no one's cracked how to do that yet and posted it yet because it's too new. But like I said, other than third-party softwares, but it should be easy. It should be an easy thing to do. I'm even wondering if I'm kind of curious. I'd like to buy one anyways, but they have a piece of hardware that's basically, you know, like a USB thumb drive, but you can use on your smartphone.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I get one of those and directly back up my music library. But worst case scenario, I can't, and then it's not really a big deal. I'm sure 90% of the music library I have here on like CD, so I could just rip CDs. But there's some stuff I downloaded from the internet that I'll have to track down again.
Well, hopefully you can back it up
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
Put
not
it-
that. It's really not
and
that.
put
Big.
it on the computer.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. I didn't lose too much. But my computer sure runs nice now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Let's see here.
So we last left off. You guys had
We were taking a griffin ride to the Cloud Giant Castle, right?
right. So you guys were in Waterdeep. Cloud Giant Castle appeared sometime throughout the night. You guys had made a personal arrangement with the Open Lord of Waterdeep, Lady Laurel Silverhand. That you guys had made a personal favor to get transportation via the Griffin Cavalry to the Cloud Giant Castle. Like I said, as non-representatives of Waterdeep, you guys are going on your own accord. So you guys had basically big griffin stables on the top of Mount Waterdeep, near Castle Waterdeep, but far enough away so that visitors and visiting bureaucrats and stuff like that would not be threatened. You guys were given a brief training lesson, as well as dabbed with urine from a full griffin to help disguise the scent of horses. You guys flew out of these wooden doors out of this kind of stable launch area for griffins. The griffins run and leap off of a short patio, spreading their wings. There's a quick feeling of falling as you, the riders, because I said you guys are kind of are basically being doubled.
Mm-hmm.
All but Cloud, who can fly and has a permit. But as their great bodies leap off, and there's that moment of falling before their wings fill with air to carry them aloft. Your stomachs come out of your mouth almost. And you guys are buckled in. But it still feels very tenuous. It's not like you guys are buckled into the seat. It's more of a tether. So if you fall, you will be dangling. The griffins, I will give. I'm going to start with Silence.
Okay.
Okay, Silence. When when even before when you were like getting on to this griffin, it I mean it's beautiful and majestic and all that, but it would kind of be like if Siegfried and Roy, God bless his soul, if like like think of their white tigers, right? You see them doing a show, it looks so magnificent, so whatever. But now
Yep.
if they're like, okay, now you put your head in its mouth, right?
Yeah.
That's when you remember how much of a predator it is when this guy is when he like approaches his griffin. You can see the griffin has like its saddle and its reins, and he mounts up and kind of like squires, trainees, whatever you want to call them. They help snap buckles so that he's like mounted tight into the seat, and he's mounted tight. And and he inspects the harness as he goes along, because it looks like that if he were to pull one of the buckles, the whole thing would just quick release.
Oh.
But he's held in securely, very securely. And once he's mounted in, you see from a rack from the end of the building, you can see a youth coming over with a lance, like you would see mounted knights using. He is given one of those, and then one of the squires or stable boys says to you, looks at you and comes over, and you're kind of absorbing this all when you realize they're talking to you, and they're like, okay, come. And you can see that as you're approaching this griffin. My point was that as you approach, it makes you realize you're kind of like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this is like a apex predator,
Yep.
What?
I must have gone mad.
What? I want you to make a skill check of some type. But now what this skill check is going to represent is the building of a relationship with this griffin, because it's not like a horse or a vehicle. This is going to be like, how are you going to ride this thing? Are you going to like charm the heck out of it? Are you going to use your knowledge of nature? Are you going to use pure athletics and just go white knuckled? Are you going to acrobatics and like be so light and nimble that the thing hardly notices you're there? Are you going to like stealth and come up from behind its blind spot? I want you to not only choose a skill, but I want you to like take a little bit of but player agency, and I want you to tell me how silence is going to deal with this griffin flight, from mounting up into the barn to flying to the castle. And I want you to tell me what you do. And we're going to make at least one skill check on it to see how your situation goes.
I'd argue.
And I'm playing with you.
Yep.
I'm the griffin.
Yep.
I'm the rider.
Is rather intimidated, but we're going up there. I need to get up there. I'm gonna have to put my best skills on show, which is charisma. So I'm gonna try and charm it. Well,
Okay.
If it's charmed with you, it's not gonna try and eat you.
Yeah, you can see you can hear like the rattle of the harnesses and the scraping of its talons on this ancient stone floor, and the voices of men and boys shouting, and you can see that this griffin, once you get to about like 10 feet away, that's when its head turns over the side and it looks at you at the shoulder, and it's like not standing still. Think of it like, you know, if you've ever seen like a rodeo and they're getting on a bronco, the horse is prancing and its flanks are swinging around and they're holding its reins trying to keep it in one spot, but its wings are flapping and it's dancing and prancing. And once you get within 10 feet, it kind of notices you coming up from behind as a stranger. And I want you to roll your persuasion.
I'd
is it?
argue that would be charisma.
Yeah, charisma
Alright.
persuasion. Is that what you're going to roll?
Yep.
Okay, roll, and I'll give you advantage for the bull griffin, the urine of the bull griffin that you have behind your ears.
Okay. Well, naturally, I have a +4 in that. Shall I add my proficiency bonus?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if you're proficient in persuasion.
Proficient in what?
Persuasion.
I think I put
Skill?
it down here. Hang on. Trying to see where I put all proficiencies.
Yeah, it's a skill.
Blah 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 blah.
Proficiency.
I'm looking. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Right by perception. And
No, I've got perception.
okay, well then add +2 because it's your jack of all trades comes into play.
Yes.
Okay, so 4 + 2. That's 6. So
Like I said, for the bulliard, I'll
die
give you
20 with a +6. Ooh.
like I said, it's with advantage, which means roll twice, take the highest.
Okay, that's better. Phew. 21. That's a highest.
Okay. You see this thing glare back at you. But how do you persuade it?
Well, I'm thinking I must have heard a lot about griffins from coming from the lore college. So I think I know a few things that would charm a griffin. So probably body language it would recognize. Obviously no sudden movements.
No acting like prey.
No, do not act like prey.
Okay, and I feel like Ryan wants to be next.
I'm
Ryan.
thinking. I'm thinking.
You
'cause I've
too?
not got-
You have your rider is actually a very small human female. Like she's one of those women, she's like maybe 5 feet tall.
the,
and-
yeah.
She seems
Go on. Sorry.
she seems like she's quite young, and you can see same thing, right? Like all the stable boys / squires are like snapping in her harnesses, and she's like pulling straps tight and stuff like that. You know, a couple of them have the reins of the griffin and trying to keep it calm. They're tossing strips of meat at it, you know, to and it too is like dancing and prancing. There are other griffins that have like the doors are open and they have launched and stuff like that. So the griffin is anticipating doing that itself. And one of the squires comes up to you and says, you know, you next. And they're gonna help you like attach a tether and stuff like that. So what are you gonna do when you, like I said, get within like that, especially that 10 foot of the griffin? They can't help but notice that there's.
Could I use insight? Alright, just reading the griffin and kind of making sure that I'm respectful and as I approach it.
Sure. Same thing. I'll give you advantage for the bull piss. Bull piss. By the way, sorry to the lady and to anyone who might be offended.
21.
Okay. You two basically realize, well, there's a fine line of like not acting like prey and not challenging it. With your insight is more on the whole situation than on the individual griffin, in my opinion. So you even kind of like subconsciously mimic the motions of the squires and the stable boys, their kind of a manner. You notice that they do not look it in the face, but neither do they really keep their head downcast. They keep their chins up, but they never rest upon the face of the griffin. They're always looking at each other's faces, or at its talons, or its wings, or the rider. And you do the same. You just watch the rider as you approach. You snap in. And Garl.
Garl, as he enters up towards the stable, first of all, will go ahead and cast Goodberry.
Okay.
And
up on your journey up the mountain to Castle Waterdeep, because Castle Waterdeep is the top of the Mount Waterdeep. There's a surprising amount of wildlife has been kept on the mountain. Like, it hasn't been totally, like, you know what I mean? It's not just a trash heap. Like it a lot of it off the pass, off the roadway, is kept very natural, and it's easy to find berries. So you can easily cast Goodberry.
And he'll have those in a pouch, and then as he comes on up to the stable where the griffins are, he's going to watch before entering. He's going to watch the activity in there, seeing who's doing what, like the stable boys on the feeding and like that. And then he will go ahead and cast disguise self on himself to appear like one of the stable boys. And then he'll walk on up and he will pick out a griffin that he thinks he'll be riding, reach into his pouch, grab out a Goodberry, and he'll feed the Goodberry to that griffin. Disguised as a stable boy.
Okay. The rider you get is a dwarf. He's not a very tall dwarf, but he's very broad. And he's very soft-spoken. Like, in fact, like, out of all the commotion and stuff like that, he says almost nothing.
Oh, okay.
As, like, you know, the squire stable hands are like strapping him in and handing him his lance and stuff like that, he just doesn't hardly say a thing. He's like almost like a typical dwarf. He's still as stone. And he surprisingly has a very calm griffin. His griffin doesn't seem to be as prancing or as anxious as the others. So what kind of skill do you want to make on that?
Well, since I'm using this the disguise self, my deception.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, let's see.
Just a pure familiarity.
And that will be a 19.
Okay. And Nicodemus, if you're around. I always picture him like baking like something.
Well, he does do a lot of baking.
I know. Nicodemus. Nicodemus.
Mikey.
I would like to.
Nicodemus.
Hello, can you not hear me?
Oh yeah, I hear you.
We can hear you.
I just
Oh.
well, I just had to finish the refrain, otherwise it would. I had to resolve it, otherwise.
Fair enough. So what I would like to do is I'd like to use my knowledge of just the general wilderness and how to survive along with animals and such like that in order to make friends with the animal and show them that I'm a satyr. I'm a fucking thing of the
I was gonna say,
wilderness.
you're a satyr. You're a mythical beast, just like griffins are.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to walk up to it and I want to try, like I said, I want to give it some beer from my alchemy jug. And, here you go, try this. What do you think? Hey, buddy, give him a little pet. Pretty much what I'm saying is I want to use my survival skills. I'm trying to use in order to make friends with the beast, to show him that I'm a beast as well. Like
Michael,
drink beer, give him the beer. Yeah.
You would have made my day if you're like, I'm gonna use my alchemy jug to make mayonnaise and let the
Yeah,
because-
but no. Yeah.
because
Animals.
I read the alchemy jug on D&D Beyond, and someone is like, my God, what kind of encounter would it be where 4 gallons of mayonnaise is the solution? So
I had somebody use that before. He was
You would have.
trying to, Todor. He was trying to bribe somebody. He's like, I used my alchemy jug in the middle of a desert campaign to make a bunch of fucking mayonnaise and be like, what do you think of this? This is good. You can sell this, right? It's worthwhile. Ooh, no, we don't have mayonnaise around here.
okay, so you're gonna
Dropped it right down.
you're basically gonna try to befriend this thing. Fair enough. You've probably seen griffins before, but never this close.
Yeah.
That predatory gaze, like I said, especially when you get within 10 feet and it sees you as like something within its
Goat that it eats and hunts.
well, yeah, and its eyes fall upon you, and you just look down. Your eyes just roll down to the jug
Right.
you're carrying, and I want you to make your roll, and you can, like you said, you could even roll. I'll let you roll for advantage for the.
If I have advantage, I have a 15 total.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would have been 11. I'd
Yeah,
already rolled when you were doing the others to determine what.
And what did you produce in the jug for the day then? Whatever.
Beer. I only gave
Beer?
it a gallon, meaning I still have more gallons of beer to use later.
Yeah, because I think it's 4 gallons of beer a
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, so I still have a few more gallons of beer to use. But still, that's
So
I
you're going to
don't
get
know
it
if it-
sloshed.
Well, I don't think so.
it'll be used.
It's
And just FYI, a gallon is roughly 10 beers, 10 bottles of beer.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a very happy griffin.
Yeah, I might get a buzz from it, but
Yeah, he might get something.
yeah,
I mean, how
he
much
might
does
he might feel like his face get warm or something.
I mean, how much does a fucking griffin weigh? 300 pounds? 400 pounds?
Oh, I'd say like a horse. I don't
Wow,
know.
that's
What
bizarre.
does like an African lion weigh plus more? Right? Like it would be bigger than a
Let
normal
us
lion.
Google that real quick. How much
Does a griffin weigh?
Uh,
Master Google,
and
knower of
Africa.
everything.
AJ Pickett,
Way.
the Mighty Glue Stick on YouTube, he would tell you. I'm sure you could just look up a griffin video and
Are
They
he'd tell you.
can weigh 330 to 550 pounds. So that would be an average of 440. Would be your average, I suppose, if you take it 330 to 550. The average would be 440 pounds. Of course, it's flying. You know, it's an eagle, so I don't know. Does it have like hollow
No,
bones?
and that's what I was gonna. No, I was gonna say I don't know because like, I still think it'd be bigger than a lion, right? Like a griffin.
This
I don't know.
Higher end, 550,
And
550 pounds.
I don't know.
this discussion is reminding me of Monty Python.
Yeah, it is.
African European swallows.
So let's say it's the higher end then, because it's a big one.
I
It's
would
also
say so.
Well, if it held it by the husk.
I would say so.
550 pounds, and so that would be the equivalent of a hugely obese man. So that would be like 2 men. So say they had a 6-pack each.
Andre the Giant would drink like
Yeah.
100 beer.
Oh, he would not be able to drink 100 beers.
Yeah, he would.
No.
You would drink a lot of beer.
He would drink 5 bottles of wine with his dinner.
Sure.
Well, he is French too, so.
So he has
Well,
a tolerance.
True.
I'm just
True.
saying, like 2 large men splitting a 6-pack, they may get something.
I imagine it
not
does.
splitting a 6-pack, but a 6-pack for a large man having a 6-pack. He may get, he might get a buzz. Maybe. A little bit. Something.
I don't know, Mike.
How much you fucking weigh?
I weigh about 240 here, Bob.
And what would 6-pack give to you?
A little buzz, eh?
Your Canadian accent is fucking horrible. Okay, so he'd get, the dude sitting across from playing on his computer would get a little bit of a buzz from a 6-pack of beer. So let's just assume that's what the
I
Griffin's
don't
getting.
drink every day.
Neither does the fucking Griffin.
Okay.
I don't think so.
You know they're,
Must be a
Bob,
treat for it.
Huh?
but you know, Bob, they're I'm a Canadian, eh?
That's just horrible. All right.
I'm sorry.
I shall take a Monty Python joke about American beer. Well, we Australians find your American beer is a bit like making love in a canoe. It's fucking close to water.
Fucking close to water. Foster's, Australian for fucking American ass water beer, piss water or something. I don't know. So how good is this beer? Because that's a 6-pack. Of American
Is
beer.
it a
What
good
kind of beer?
6-pack?
Is this like some Moosehead lager or something?
Well, I'd say it would be like pretty like hearty. Like it wouldn't be like Bud Light.
Yeah. Bud Light. This stuff is, I don't know, like liquid bread, like
Yeah.
beer ought to be, right? So it'd be a little more potent than your average beer, or the average beer I'm used to here in America.
Guinness.
See, fuck that. There you go.
Yeah,
Never
some
mind the
Guinness.
Canadian accent. Never mind.
Oh,
Fucking marijuana's legal too, eh? So,
Guinness or Killigan's Red.
Hey, it's legal in Michigan and Illinois.
right on, Michigan.
Fucking Michigan. Can you believe that shit? Michigan.
Michigan.
Well,
I'm surprised.
So we're on the Griffins.
Yes.
that was all of you. 1, 2, yeah.
Yay.
So it is a brief flight. It doesn't take more than like a few minutes. In fact, you guys are kind of like, oh, can we like take a lap or something? It's kind of neat. You guys all rolled well enough.
Phew.
There was no real issues. Michael, you got a little bit concerned at a point where you could tell that your griffin was not happy about having someone doubled, that those flanks kept twitching and its hind legs kept, and you were afraid that it was just gonna try to get rid of you. But nothing
I'll
where
just pick
you,
out the jug at his ear a little bit.
yeah, nothing where you have to make a savings throw or anything, but you were at the DC threshold. So it was like the rest of you, the Griffins maintained a pretty much business as usual, especially well, none of you are really heavy,
Yeah, I'm wearing full plate, but it's
but it's
mithril full
mithril,
plate,
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
no one was really heavy, you know, no one really made it uncomfortable for the Griffins. So they fly closer to this castle, and you're like, wow, this castle's big.
like
And
really big.
as you get closer, you're like, yeah, it's like really big. And you're like, okay, we should be there right away. And you're like, nope, still getting closer. You guys eventually, the air gets misty as you guys enter the bank of the clouds. The Griffins land in this pillowy mass. Like walking, like I said, it almost feels like you're walking on a bed. It's the only way I can describe it, or walking on a trampoline. But like a trampoline covered in snow, like like you could see the mist all swirling, and your feet does kind of sink into it, but it doesn't stick like muck. It's all dense enough to hold your weight, but yet it almost like sand, or it's hard to explain.
Like walking on a waterboard kind of thing.
Zephyrins?
Yeah. Pardon me?
Is it
Like
similar
walk-
to Cloud Bank?
To what?
To Zephyrins Cloud Castle Bank?
Yeah. Especially if you guys are on the outskirts too, because like the Griffins really land. The riders say, pull the clip. Like where you're clipped in.
I do. I pull the clip and I slide it, and I try to dismount.
Okay, as soon as you dismount, the instant you start sliding off, the Griffin is already wheeling away to launch and take off. They just land quickly as you guys each unlatch your clip. They just take off.
All
They
right,
don't hold high expectations of our survival, do they?
all right, all right. Then we just got to take the castle then, because that's the way we're getting down.
You guys can see through the mist that you can see that they fly out and they join like a squadron, and you could see that you guys have like a great view of the city. How immense the city. 2 million people. You can see the ocean to the west and the continent of
I
Faerun
have
to the
never seen
east.
my town from the sky.
Can
Immediately
we see the
below
golden
you,
field from here?
Golden Fields.
Yeah.
No, you can't. But there's enough for like you can. You're like a couple. I'm putting you 1,000 feet over the mountain,
Okay.
and not even directly over the mountain, but like off to the south, but 1,000 feet up, and just adjacent to the mountain. But so you can see the castle and the mountain and the harbor and the city of like 2 million people, a medieval city, a fantasy medieval city of 2 million people. That blows my mind. You can see the roads that enter and follow the coast to the north and the south. You almost swear you could see Neverwinter to the north. Probably couldn't, but It's a dizzying sight. And when you turn around, you could see in the distance, like let's call it like, oh, we're talking giant terms here.
Would you like to give a motivational speech before we head in silence?
Pretty sure I wrote
This-
that down as my ability.
Like this castle is a castle. Like what you call it? Cloud giant sized.
If we take this, we're going to need to install ladders.
Agreed.
Like holy shit. What is this? Let's think
The-
here.
These cloud giants must have a treasure hoard. We'll have enough money to install ladders.
What is 4.5 cubed?
4.5 raised to the third power is 91.125.
Oh, so it's like 91 times bigger than like.
Why do we
Take a
keep
castle.
assuming we want to kill them all? They're giants. They're going to squish us.
It'll be as long as it takes for us.
Like it's 4.5 times taller than a normal castle. 4.5 times. Everything's 4.5 times bigger. Like just
Yeesh.
which means like the storm giant itself, right? If you average like let's just say 6 feet, yeah, they're gonna be like 26 feet, 27 feet, 91 times heavier. So 200 pounds, they're gonna be 1,800 pounds. No, more than that.
They
18,000 pounds.
so we're
9
here
tons.
to
You can see Cloud flying overhead. He flies kind of towards a castle, but off to explore because you guys, like I said, it's all misty, it's all pillowy underfoot. As you guys approach, it seems to get more and more solid. The cloud until
Are there drift
eventually,
vines and large plants and stuff like that around?
as you approach, the ground begins to solidify till there's a point where it feels like you're walking on marble with just mist swirling around your feet. And you could see that there are indeed like big steps. And I mean like big steps, right? Like each step is 5 feet.
Ugh, boy, we're going to have to climb those.
And there's only like 3 of them, but it leads up to like this big terrace with like white marble railings and columns and like Roman columns, and you could see that there are indeed like it does like mark off the beginning of like the property in the yard, and there is foliage. Marge. Foliage and like blossoms and fruit and like I said, like apple trees with like apples the size of pumpkins and pumpkins the size of wagons. Like
Ay,
Yeah.
ay, ay.
right out of a storybook again, right? Like
Yeah.
where like you could carve a cottage into a pumpkin. There are blossoms. There are growing right out of the cloud, right? There's no soil, but the cloud has the air, has like the feel of like woolly worked earth, and the roots just sink and are pulling moisture right out of the cloud. There's stone pathways. The pathway widens and makes like a roundabout around a massive fountain and then continues narrows again and continues to the front of this big castle. And you can see as you're approaching that let's say you guys are 300 feet away at like the roundabout and the big fountain, and you're 300 feet away from the front doors, and off to the sides of the path are like foliage and plants and garden and topiary. But at the doors of the castle, you can see that's standing more or less at attention on either side of the massive doors are two stone giants wearing only like loincloths, like the kind that dangled down. Do you know what I mean? That is like a big tassel in the front. You know what I mean? Like front and back. They're white and beautifully embroidered, and that's all
I
they're
bet
wearing.
they're going
And
to
you
come to
can-
life if we get
you
too
can-
close.
And you can see their massive
I don't think
bodies
so.
and gray stone-like flesh as they're standing at attention. And nearby, you can see that there's like sacks,
Garl
life-size sacks full, just leaning against the wall.
on the way, working his way on up to
Massive castle.
that position where he sees the two stone giants. He'll
Uh-huh.
drop his disguise
Mhm.
and go back to his regular appearance,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll push his chest out and he'll start walking proudly, and he'll say, "Where are the trumpets? Where's the court caller?
Oh,
Should be
no.
announcing the Goblin King is here to parlay."
As you begin approaching, one of them does step forward and raise his hand. So you guys are like
Said they
whatever,
were alive.
like 30 feet away, and one of them raises his hand, and in his voice, he says, "Hold." He says in giant,
Alrighty.
but his voice just, you feel the bass rumble your chest, and he just holds his palm up. Hold.
And
Answer back in giant.
Garl, not understanding that, though it being a universal sign with the hand, he'll stop and he'll continue to say, to announce who he is and complain that they haven't had proper court protocol and decorum for the Goblin King that's here to parlay.
I'll translate that for him.
Oh, be careful what
They don't seem to
you
understand
say.
how
We're
translate-
dealing with an entirely different class of giant here.
Guests are not expected.
Well,
Translating.
why would you be expecting? Since I come on my own accord to make a mutual parlay and treaty between the Goblin clans and your king or duke or queen, whoever controls this fine element of rock and such, and being of a expert on rocks and would and lovingly to enjoy and appreciate their solidness, their steadfastness, their beauty of hard character. Why would you know of my coming unless you heard of the great Goblin King and my greenness, my queen?
I will translate all that except when it says this rock. I'll like put my foot down on the cloud and look at him sideways.
They're stone giants we're talking to, all right?
Yes.
I hope this doesn't backfire.
We are not to let anyone in. The Countess does not want to have the castle infested with little ones.
Well, good for you all. We are not little ones. I am the defender of Bryn Shander, the slayer of the frost giant Queen Trufi. I'm assuming that means something to you people. Why don't you go inside and tell your lords that the slayer of Trufi is here at their door to talk about not slaying them. Maybe that will entreat them.
We don't have to
Oh,
go
God.
inside to
Let's-
talk. We can just we
that-
can just talk outside here.
He,
that-
Nikki,
this is
did you
escalating.
say that in giant?
No, I said it in normal. I don't know giant.
Nicodemus was talking in giant the whole time, so you
Okay, so I don't know what he said, so I wouldn't act the way I was going to then.
But I translated everything you wanted to say into
Well,
giant.
yeah, I got that, but what you were saying, because Garl probably would be doing something right about now, but
I just
he
told him
won't.
I was a player of Trufi.
Yeah.
Now
We're
you
so
know.
proud of us.
I thought I would cast tongues on herself right now, but she thinks that would look like aggression for the stone giant, so she's not going to.
The giants look at each other. The one that's still nearest the door.
If you're wondering what to do, I would go ask your lords. This is above your pay grade. Scurry on inside, you petty fucking.
And they look at each other, and the other one, the one closest to the door, does open the door and go in, shutting the door behind him. And the other one still stands, just glowering, like approximately 30 feet away.
So, buddy, while we're waiting, what do you know about the stone giant raids in the Golden Fells? I hear your kin have been doing that, but here you are stuck in the clouds with the cloud giants. What's up with that?
Each clan does its own thing.
So, are you part of this cloud giant clan?
I have served them my whole life.
Well,
Why?
Nicodemus has the
That was
start.
stone giant, right?
I'll translate everything as I go along.
Okay.
But as Nicodemus has his stone giant attention and whatnot, Garl will kind of sneak off to the side and hide some into the foliage or rock.
Perhaps you don't need to serve anymore.
And I want to kind of correct myself. He says, I've been serving this clan my whole life. Okay, what did you say, Ryan?
Impressive.
Well, I said the ordering is, well, I don't know if I should say that, but the ordering's broken, and you could maybe be on top. I don't know. If you'd like
He shrugs. He shrugs. I serve this clan.
Why?
Your dedication is impressive.
Wondering, why do you serve this clan? Do they pay well? Are you obligated out of some ordning? Is it you were born a slave? You know what? Enlighten me. Just curious. Want to know. You seem very interesting person, and I'd like to know your life story.
Oath was made eons ago.
And
I'm a stone giant. I can't talk like that. It's too hard. He says I'm a stone giant. And he says I live even many times longer than cloud giants. I've helped to raise and protect generations of this
Go.
clan.
How old are you?
Hold a 21 for a stealth check for the hide.
Okay, yeah, you're dissolved into the mist.
How old are you?
1,200 years old.
Wow. That is long and dedicated service.
And he crosses his arms and puffs out his chest and he motions his head over. He says, I helped to build this castle.
You did a terrific job.
Yeah.
Any thoughts of joining to a different team now that the ordering has been responded? Like maybe a different giant, maybe a group of hardy adventurers who have shown the wherewithal to fight off giant attacks, or anything else for personal gain. You're looking at anything you're interested in, you want?
Reconnecting with the stone giants.
Oh, it must be nice to see the homeland. She's got a good point there.
My oath goes beyond the ordering. And there's nothing you can give me because you're all just figments of my imagination anyways.
You have a very impressive imagination. By the way, where is your castle right now? As in, where do you think it is?
Apparently it's like an ancient site of Historia.
Huh.
And he shrugs.
Well, the current residents of this ancient site are a little concerned that there's a floating castle above their heads. They're a little worried about what that would mean.
I care not.
I suppose not, but well, if they're not appeased in that you're not gonna, well, crush them, they might keep on sending people up here. Then you'll have a real big infestation.
That's why I'm here. Just squish you. Squish them.
It'll
Yeah.
be easier if we could bring a message downstairs saying the
Have you ever
lord
met
of
a-
the castle is just here for a bit and they're not really gonna do harm, because at the moment
We
some
don't really
giants have been
know.
giving the rest of giant kind a bad name. So
It's not my
people
concern.
are
Not my concern. It has nothing to do with protecting this clan of giants. I don't care. Your words mean
Yep, is that a
nothing.
frost giant?
This guy's annoying me.
well, I hope your confidence wins out. It's just downstairs people are getting concerned, and if they don't hear anything,
You're all
you'll have
triggering
to
my
deal with a lot more
imagination.
people.
I care not.
You okay?
While I dwell in this dream world, matters not.
Oh, what's a
If it
dream
was a
world
thing-
like?
If it was a figment of your imagination, then how did your friends see it as well?
We're in the same dream.
Impressive dream. So, what else have you dreamed besides this castle and building it?
Everything. Everything's nonsense.
Oh, I agree with
Yeah.
that.
You can do a lot of things in a dream.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
can do
could
what
you
you
bring
want.
Giant bottle of wine right next to me about my height. That would be awesome. Just dream it like boom. There's a giant bottle of wine right there.
You guys are having this philosophical conversation where shortly after the door opens and you can see that other stone giant returns, and shortly behind, and you think, you're like, oh yeah, stone giants. This stone giants are stocky. They're like 22 feet high. This other giant steps out dressed in like almost like a Roman, right? Like fancy toga
That would explain the castle.
down to like, almost the floor. Beautifully ornate sandals, covered in jewelry, fancy girdle. And this giant is like, a half again, almost as tall as a stone giant. This giant's like 26, 27 feet tall. Massive. So that means like its foot would be like 4 feet long.
Ooh.
Like, and you can see this giant is wearing like a theater mask, which Silence is very familiar with, like a theater mask, But-
Hey, it's a fellow thespian.
but it's made out of gold,
A fancy thespian.
and it has a face on it that would be curiosity, query, inquisitive.
You mean the mask is
The
like
mask.
okay.
Yes. And out steps this massive, you assume, cloud giant with this golden mask on. You can see that like the backs of the bare hands, you can see that there are bracelets and rings, but you can see its skin is like a shade darker than sky blue, with the white fingernails. And as the stone giant comes out, and the storm giant comes out immediately after, the two stone giants take their position at the sides. of this storm giant or this cloud giant.
Cloud giant, yeah.
And the cloud giant approaches. So instead of being like 30 feet, it approaches right up to 10 feet. And
I'll stand up really tall.
I'm trying to find my name. Anyways, I can't remember. I'm not even gonna bother looking for the fucking name right now. Let's just call him
I'm
Count.
just going the
The
air.
Count. The Count. Right now. I'll look it up in a bit. And you can hear in his booming voice, and he says in a very thickly accented comment. In fact, some of you don't even realize that he's speaking common at first. It's so low and it's so thickly accented. And he says, "Well met, little ones, for I am the Count of this castle. How is it I may help you?"
Oh, well, so let me first begin by saying how nice it is to hear, for you to greet me in my native language and to hear it in such dulcet tones as what you use. It is quite generous of you to bless us with our native language. And then I'll say in Giant, but I can discuss in yours if you so wish, if my accent does not offend thee.
He says, "I am comfortable with either one. But
Then for the benefit of my fellow patronage, persons here, I would suggest we do in common, for they do not necessarily speak the Giant tongue as I do. They are less
very
civil.
well. Would not want to be rude.
Now,
After all, what is the reason for your visit? I was not..."
well, several fold is the intention of our visit. Number one, while you have given assurances to the Lady of Waterdeep that your presence here is purely of an academic nature, and I thoroughly agree with that. I deeply believe you. I do not mean to expunge your word at all, but we were curious as to, do you have any knowledge of another cloud giant castle that attacked a village called Nightstone and removed a relic of your ancient giant kingdom of Astoria from the center of said town? Do you know anything of this?
And with one hand, he reaches into a pouch on his side, like a bag, like a shoulder bag. And the other hand reaches up to grab his mask. And he removes the mask and immediately slips on a new one,
Oh my God.
which has like a friendly smile.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh, I'm loving this.
And he says, "Perhaps we should go discuss things inside."
As you wish, good sir.
And he turns, begins to walk inside, and you can see that the two stone giants, especially the one that stayed outside, is really glowering down at you guys as you guys walk by, and they take up the rear of the procession
Okay, so if things go bad, we have 2 stone giants behind us and a cloud giant leading the way at the moment.
Yeah.
He opens
No
the
one
door.
do anything stupid.
He opens the door. Like the one guy, the one
Garl, where's Garl?
He's
Oh
around.
no.
the one stone giant opens the door to let all of you in, and you guys catch a rush of movement at the door. And when the door opens, you can see that. Okay, now imagine the type of thing, because this is what happens. As the patriarch, as the count is outside talking, 3 kids are
Cloud giant kids.
at the door, and when the door opens and they kind of get caught, they all run and flee. You see 3 storm giant kids go running away.
Oh, storm giants.
Storm giant.
Or sorry, cloud giant kids. I'll get that confused the whole time. I mean cloud giant every time.
All right.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
different anyway, like oh.
But they just go running away. And you guys get led in and immediately into this like you think the castle is grand on the outside. On the inside it's not only grand, it's opulent.
Eesh.
Garl, while the kids are trying to sneak, rush on past,
Yeah.
Garl will try to sneak on in, use that distraction to sneak on into the castle.
Oh yeah. Well, he's leading you guys in. Yeah, you guys can all lead in.
Or to remain
And
hidden,
and there's like, oh yeah,
not
well,
accounted for.
yeah, it's not very hard to do, because you walk in and it's like, kind of think like Beverly Hillbillies, like the foyer of their mansion. Like it's that spacious, but it's got like pillars
Your age.
around it. The floor is a beautiful mosaic. There's a domed ceiling. It's all like white marble. It's all mosaic with tiles and paintings of scenes depicting giants fighting against dragons, and giants being pulled in chariots through the sky, and the clouds being pulled by winged creatures, and clouds of griffins and other magnificently winged creatures. You're not even quite sure what they are. Depictions of lightning and storms and all this sky stuff, and it's beautiful. Rays of sun are actual like gold leaf. The mosaic of the floor is interrupted only by a hole about 30 feet in diameter, and mounted on the rim of that circle is a cloud giant sized telescope, and standing at that telescope is another cloud giant looking through the eyepiece, and right beside them is a podium with a book and an ink, and scroll and ink and quill, and it looks as if like they're like looking through the telescope and writing down notes. But as you all enter, the face looks up, and it has like from a look of contemplativeness.
Is the telescope pointed up or down?
Down into the hole, looking, and a look of contemplativeness. And this figure looks feminine because of like the bosom, the jewelry, the figure. They are very much proportioned like humans. Not like hill giants, right? Hill giants are proportioned weird, and fire giants are proportioned like dwarves, and like stone giants are very stocky, and cloud giants are proportioned like humans. And you can
Yuri,
see as she
You're-
sees you all come in, she just reflexively puts the quill down, reaches down into her bag and switches masks, and this face is very frowny face. Very sourpuss.
Fuck is wrong with these people and their goddamn faces? These are weird fucks. Okay.
Respect their customs, otherwise we'll
Yeah.
get squished.
your artwork is beautiful.
And she says, in giant. Who are these wretched little things? And she says, like, ew, like, why'd you bring that into the house?
Allow me to
Oh, we're
introduce
mice.
Allow me to introduce myself, if I will, ma'am. I'll say that in giant.
She
I'm
just
Nicodemus.
glances down at you and looks up at her husband. And you didn't even notice, but he's already switched masks. He's got like kind of like an apologetic, like baby mask on him. It's like, but baby, right?
Wow.
He's like,
These guys are great.
We're not taking their castle. We can't afford it.
and
Two cloud giants, two stone giants. We can do this.
No, we can't.
and he says, dear, we have some guests. I thought it would be good to open our hospitality and assure them that we're no threat. And she puts her hand on her hip, and that, as you guys are like approaching, and that circle begins to fill with like cloud and stuff like that, and it just begins to solidify, and it just closes like an iris and solidifies to solid stone. And she turns around. She turns around, kind of like disgustedly, and walks across the floor where that circle was, and goes over to like a cabinet area near a doorway in between some pillars. And she says, again in giant, Michael, you hear she says, we can't afford the time to cater to every onlooker that decides to drop by our door. She says, we talked to the one with the silver hair. We assured them we're not here to attack. If we have to open our doors, our home up to every onlooker, she says, just the longer we're gonna be here. And they're pretty much having like a domestic kind of awkward where you show up and then there's a fight. You're kind of getting that vibe.
Yeah.
In walks another cloud giant.
Fucking A. That's 5 giants. Okay.
Are you sure we can take him now?
Yeah, we'll be fine.
It's 5 on 5. Seems fair.
And he basically says, I smelled something funny. And he kind of looks around, and she says, your father invited in some more of, and basically she uses a derogatory term for little people.
With and that was all in common or in giant?
No, in giant.
Oh, okay.
And then the new giant says,
Is Nicodemus still translating all this?
well,
Just translate their little domestic dispute.
Yeah. And then he says, "Mother, I'll go fetch the other guards just in case." And he takes off.
We'll be like, that's their son, that's the wife, that's the husband, and they have more guards.
We are not taking them.
You know, I've always wanted to play my standard human champion fighter.
Garl will
I,
step up.
I think I'll play a wizard for the next character.
Garl will step up and say, "I am the king of the goblins clan, and I'm here to parlay. I don't know what other business you think I'm here for, but I'm here to parlay. Make a treaty between the goblin clans and your clan."
I'll translate that.
So
Okay.
Carl just shows up out of nowhere because he was still hidden, right?
Yeah. He stepped forward. He's smaller than you guys, so he hid behind you.
And I'm here to trade information. We have
Basically-
news of other giant doings, and would appreciate your knowledge of other giant doings and to collaborate together to work everything out for the benefit of both people.
She
Along
pretty
with
much
people
leaves in
around.
disgust with him saying, "I'll handle this," and his attention turns, and he has his like polite smile, friendly mask on again. They're very slick at even swapping them. Like they don't have to search around for the mask they want. They know which one they're grabbing. And he says, "Forgive me, my wife. Her family has a bad history with the more delicate races. But I, for one, find them rather fascinating. How they endure. Please."
Beer,
We're
wine.
damn stubborn. That's why we endure.
That
I'm gonna start this negotiation by offering you some of my finest beer, blessed by Bacchus himself.
Okay. Yes. Let me and just then the elder son who was there returns, and he has with him 4 stone giants.
Oh,
fucking damn!
We are not
Yeah.
invading.
Has no
Damn it,
one
I
else
really wa-
left the room? Are we now dealing with 6 stone giants and 3 cloud giants, along with some kids somewhere running around this fucking castle?
I bet we're dealing with more. Just don't do anything stupid.
Garl will say, "I'm only dealing with one, and it's him, the big guy."
Yeah.
And again in giant, when he he just says to the 4 stone giants, he says, "Stay here and guard." And those 4, everyone sees those 4 stone giants just spread out, and they take a position around the room.
Okay.
You're the pillars.
What
And
about the 2 war guards? Did they leave?
they go back out to their front door duty.
Okay.
The son then leaves.
Okay.
He does look at all of you kind of suspiciously, but the father pays him like no mind.
Or if you care.
We can take
You could probably
7.
take the ball.
No, we can't.
And he says, we met with the one with the silver hair. She spoke to us before we even arrived at the coast.
We talked with her also, girls, and she gave us a couple things here. One, she gave us a warning that we tread at our own peril, and gave us permission to come parley with you, being that I am the king of the Goblin clan, and figured it was only proper protocol to come and make a friendly alliance.
So,
And as he's doing this, if you could imagine, his chest is just becoming more not necessarily fuller, but he's pushing it forward to show that element of pride within the Goblin clan.
Yeah. So it'd be like equivalent to like a person 10 inches tall standing next.
Yeah.
Just
I
to give
mean,
everyone, I know, but just to give everyone a visual.
Oh yeah,
right? Like,
because I mean, Garl's only let's see here, I think he's 3 foot.
Yeah, and and I think they're 26. So
Yeah, he's 3 foot
even-
flat.
Yeah. So if it was like 1/8, 1/9, yeah, it would be not very big at all. He says, well, if you came here for a reason, he says, I would be happy to help you.
I think we can help each other mutually. Garl will say, as friendly kingdoms and clans should.
Well, he says, my wife and I, we are cartographers. We've been mapping the north and mapping the coast, looking for signs of Historia. We have reason to believe that with legends and whatnot, that this area here, what with the deep natural harbor adjacent to the mountain and everything, it describes, it's matches descriptions of parts of the Historian Empire. That's but I assure you, we are not here to.
I'm gonna make an insight check on that.
Okay.
That is 18.
His mask looks all smiley and friendly.
What about his voice?
Yeah, he seems as sincere as like. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of experience with Cloud Giants, so I mean, like, there might be some. But yeah, he seems 18's pretty strong, right? Like,
yeah, I've met one Cloud Giant before.
Yeah, true. But he was also a little bit crazy from contact other.
Yeah, true.
Or contact planar being or whatever.
We spent time
we should have killed him and took his castle.
It was just one Cloud Giant, right? We spent time under the company of a Zevran. Are you familiar with him?
I have heard of Zephyros because he does have a little bit of reputation, because he is like, eccentric. And he whispers, he doesn't even wear masks. Which is true.
But you did not. You've never met the man. You just heard rumors.
What the hell? Maybe like once, a few hundred years ago or something. I mean, it's a small world, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But do I know what is the upkeep of every job? Well, do you know what every other small folk is up to, right? Do you know? Hey, you're from Canada. Do you know Tim from Toronto? That type of deal, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, there are much fewer cloud giants though than there are small folk.
Yes.
But you all make
There's-
up. What you all lack in quantity, you all make up in quality.
Well, that is true. And his chest puffs up.
Yeah.
Well,
He
was quite
says
noble to us.
he says clans will get together in their entirety, but he says, but that's not often. That's but really, he says, I'm not into evolving myself in everyone's activities.
Well, he was greatly worried and concerned over the breaking of the ordning.
Well, and that is true. And with that, even more so, right? Even more
Well-
so, because now everybody is up to their own intentions. Now, before it used to be things were predictable. Things ran the way they were, right? He says, the hill giants hid and gluttoned themselves, and the stone giants lived deep down in the earth, and they did their thing, and the fire giants, would fucking craft shit for everyone else, and the frost giants would fucking would hunt and practice their battle, and fucking we would lead while the storm giants fucking hid with their heads up their ass.
Oh, I'm not a fan of storm giants, are we?
Well, I'm just saying. Who's had more of a hand? Who's had more of a hand in shaping the world? Cloud giants or storm giants? I mean,
I'm assuming you. My history knowledge in this is lacking.
well, it's always cloud giants. It's always cloud giants who are doing the stuff.
Yeah,
I
noticed there are a lot of cloud giants in these pictures and these art pieces. They're very beautiful, by the way.
Darrell, speak up and say, us deep gnomes have done the hard labor.
Yeah, they have.
Great. He says, and
So, I was curious, since everybody's on their own, would you be interested in knowing what some of the frost giants are up to?
perhaps it might be of some interest, but
And perhaps,
again, we've put our focus on mapping out Astoria because we figure if we knew, if we were able to find out what knowledge was still out there, where its great libraries were and such, that would really, really, really help solidify the cloud giants top of the ordning. And if it just happens to be our clan, well, then,
Well, Gar will say, then you might be interested in the secret worship temple that my greenness and our clans kind of located. We might be convinced if we could have a strong, friendly alliance to give you its location.
You believe that it might be a piece of Historia?
I believe it could possibly well be, since I'm not a historian or a scholar such as yourself, but a self-made gnome in and about nature and such. But I did recognize it when I saw my greenness, and it did kind of feel strange, and it did look as what I would imagine from the myths and stories and legends that have been told to possibly be a temple of ancient origin.
Okay. He just rolled an insight.
Okay. You want me to roll my deception?
Yeah, and because like I wanna know, like, because am I forgetting something or are you making this up?
I'm making this up.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's because I'm trying to go. What the fuck is Charles talking about?
I thought you were talking about the place, the ooze, where the ooze was. Ooze,
Oh, the cave. Well, that's what I kind of was too. I was going, well, was there like some sort of like communication, like something, or like, okay, what'd you roll?
16.
Okay, he rolled like a 23.
Okay.
I have to go for bio.
All right.
I do. I'm dancing. Hold on.
We don't get nothing, Danny. I don't think we want to get shit off this boy.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
Honestly, we might want to just make an alliance for the Cloud Giants. I mean, do we care if the Storm Giants are going to be on top of the ordinance?
Not particularly. I'm just wondering if we could get like information off of him about like the Cloud Giants who stole the monolith from Nightstone. Something I'm hoping to get from him. Also, I'm interested in parlaying our activities against the Frost Giant into some possibility of a reward because, he doesn't want them to come out on top. He wants to make sure. Also, looking for patronage, he doesn't want the Stone Giants to come out on top, and he does employ Stone Giants. So maybe he would be interested in helping us or aiding us in some way to go to the Golden Fells and take on the Stone Giants there.
That was also what I was thinking. Get some help taking on the Stone Giants as well.
Yes. At least, if not directly go and fight alongside our aid, which is not something I was expecting at all. But, hey, maybe he's got a, +3 Giant Slayer longsword.
Maybe.
He'd like the Lonus or something for that. Like there was what was the name of that the giant slaying sword and that you got in Studying of the Hill Giants, Chief? It was the Cloud Giants thing, and he owned it, and he used it as a dagger, and you all found that it was disguised as a torch, and it could talk and communicate. And it's like, first off,
I remember the sword. I don't remember what it was called.
Okay. And so that would be, these are things I'm interested in. A, does he have any information or tactical help for us? B, would he be able to aid us or assist us? And B, would he be willing to reward us for what we have done to the Frost Giants, and especially in regards to knowing what that is? And C, could he help us to explain what the Cloud Giants who stole the monolith in Nightstone was all about? Or maybe he'd just like to know. Because there's other clans of Cloud Giants. Maybe they're not his clan. Maybe it's a different clan of Cloud Giants who did that. Maybe it was him. I don't know.
Yeah, we kind of asked him about that at the start of this conversation, didn't we? But he didn't really answer, did he?
He did not answer. So those are the three things I'm hoping to get out of this meeting with him.
Yeah.
Since my hope or possibility of being able to, you know, kill them and take their floating castle is just not happening.
It's cool. Maybe if we end up fighting another quarter giant castle and we win, they'll let us have that one.
Yeah. Now, I was thinking though, see, what I could do is I could polymorph. I could polymorph myself into reskin a giant ape into, you know, just use the stat blocks, kind of like I'm a wood elf. I'm using the stats of a wood elf and just saying I look like a satyr. Using the stats of the giant ape and saying I'm a giant satyr. I'm a giant goat man.
like a Minotaur type thing.
Yeah, unleashing the inner animal, my inner party animal. You know, like pull up the alchemy jug and just empty a gallon of beer, like, oh yeah, Kool-Aid man up in there. And just,
yeah, that would be cool. You could also just get enlarged, right?
Yeah, but enlarge wouldn't give me the stats of a giant ape.
Yeah, but it would let you keep casting spells after that.
Oh, well, yeah, but I just prefer to beat them with my fists.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Then when I can no longer beat them with the fist, aka they knock me down from 176 hit points or some shit like that, however much the giant ape has, down to, you know, nothing, and I die, or I lose concentration off of a concentration check. Then I can still. Then I can
sounds
still,
like you've got it all planned.
Yeah, but you know, there's like 20 fucking giants up in this bitch.
Yeah.
I'm back.
So.
So anyway, we were just curious. What do you know about the looting of Nightstone and the acquisition of a monolith, a relic of Historia?
It upsets me that other giants are going around causing such havoc.
Yes.
It upsets me that if it's true and they did remove a piece of Historia, that
it is true.
That they treated it so. I mean, it's an archaeological site. It shouldn't have been removed from its natural state. It should have been studied now. But do I know about it or who took it? I do not.
Would you be willing to trade details about the frost giants and what I could tell you about them, and in favor of what you may know of the stone giants attacking the golden fells?
He says, I can assure you I know little about what individual giants are doing. He says,
but perhaps with your mapping ability, you know where the entrance to their underground realm is in that area. I mean, you surely would not wish to see a rival clan ascend to control the most valuable food supply of the surface. That would not be good for your clan, would it not?
Well, you see, don't know how it would matter, but
I mean, what is bad for them would be by definition good for your clan. You don't want to see them rise in ascendancy and power, would you?
Oh, wouldn't happen.
No, I doubt that. I really doubt that any other clan. You seem to be a quite wise and powerful leader. But it would throw a monkey wrench in your works of getting them to follow suit with you. The more powerful they got, the more independent minded they may become.
Well, every giant has sensed a disruption, but he says, for example, in he motions, he says, our servants are here for more than the ordering. He says
They
there's
recognize
a bond and a loyalty beyond.
Yes, and they should be commended for such.
Oh, for sure.
But the ones attacking the Golden Fells have no oath or loyalty to you. Nor you to them.
Garl, here an oath and loyalty, will say, and on that note, how about this alliance with the Goblin clans and our temple that we've believe we found?
He says, I only know of like a sacred area, or I've only heard of a sacred area of the Stone Giants. He says it's called Deadstone Cleft.
Oh. Do you have a map of it?
I do not. He says it approaches close towards the Anarok. We haven't mapped that far.
Is
There's so much to. Oh, the Anarok is very far, but it's like basically very north or very east and north. He says, I know it's a sacred place to the Stone Giant. He says,
But that is not where they are raiding from that you're aware of.
oh, no, I do not.
And would you feel obligated to reward those who brought you information about the doings of the Frost Giants?
He says, I truly care not.
I am no help.
So Zephyros is crazy and these guys are indifferent.
Well, maybe this is an appropriate time for us to sit back, reflect, and maybe our herald can sing of some songs or poems that will bring forth some fruit in this discussion.
Oh, you have a minstrel among you?
We have the best.
The most talented in all of Waterdeep.
Please.
She knows of our exploits and sings of my goblin clan quite well.
Well, please. I would love to hear this.
Oh, well, then. Silence. I will walk over.
He goes over and he gets a chair. And he brings a chair somewhat closer out onto the floor.
I will
And he,
touch Silence and offer her a prayer of may Botchus bless your performance in this regard. So you'll have the D4 to add to your roll
And
my-
I'll
to accompany.
I'll help. I'll use the help action to help to give her advantage.
Well, yeah, that's why I'll take out my pipes to play, to accompany. So just to
Oh,
as
okay.
back rhythm guitar or something, I don't know.
yeah.
Thing, help action to give her advantage.
Okay.
But I'm actually proficient in a musical instrument.
All right.
So.
No problem. Yeah. Go up. No. Okay. No problem.
Hey, don't ever scoff at rhythm guitar.
Come
How, do you,
on, Silence.
how else would you know what song it was?
Well, if I hear the solo,
Look at the sheet music.
look at the title.
Listen to the
Sound-
band
SoundCloud
leader before.
Or Soundhound?
Ask Google.
Silence.
Hey,
We
Google.
made your entrance.
Silence. The cloud. Your friends pretty much just threw you under the bus and put you on
No,
the
we
spot.
we
Put
gave
you on the
her
spot.
a grand position to shine.
Yeah, but they put you on the spot pretty much. And this cloud giant is like, oh, and he has sat down, and he reaches down to his bag.
I don't.
Well, he's sitting in this big, massive, big chair with arms. I say, listen, it's a normal chair with arms to him, but it's massive to you guys.
Catherine, you're muted.
And he reaches into his bag and he pulls out, a mask that isn't like Joy's, but it kind of like has like just a pleasant look on its face. It's not a grin or a smile or anything, just a pleasant look. One eyebrow slightly raised as it tilts its head, places its elbow on the arm,
Oh
rests
boy.
its finger
All
on
right.
its chin, and sits there expectantly.
Okay, how much do I need to add on? Because I heard a lot of shouting. I know I've got a +4 from charisma, and I'm guessing my +3 from proficiency bonus.
Yes.
And plus D4 because you were guided by Nicodemus.
Here, I'll roll the
And-
D4 for you.
And you're rolling at advantage. So
Yeah.
roll 2d20, put the highest.
Does that mean roll
and then
twice?
add your.
Yeah. Yeah, roll
Yeah.
2 die 20s, choose the highest, then add 7. And Michael
And then
will
add D4.
roll the d4 for you. He wants to roll it, which is fair enough, which is
Uh-huh.
cool.
I
Well,
wish
no,
I had.
I like that. Oh well, I like that though.
Uh-huh.
You're the one casting it,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, and what does a D4 do?
You get to add another.
You add the D4. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
what
with
was
the
it, plus
7,
one? Yeah.
my best one with the 7 is 17.
That's total 19. Then I got a 2 on the D4.
Okay, not bad. The atmosphere is kind of getting to me.
19 is still really
Pretty good.
good.
Pretty good.
It is really good. It is. That's good. You play your little song. You don't do like a totally extended thing. You just play a quick little 2-3 minute ditty. When you're done, you look over and you can see that like off to the side, entering from like one of the entrances near one of the pillars, you can see the 3 kids all ranging from about 12 feet to 18 feet tall. And
Are,
the small
are, the,
and the
are the kids
smallest,
wearing masks?
the kids are not. And the apparently youngest one is clutching in its arms like a old house cat. A griffin just has it like arm around the neck, just in a choke grip. Just this griffin,
Ooh, poor Griffin.
just like how little kids manhandle cats.
Oh, the poor Griffin.
Mhm.
And they're all just watching, kind of smiling as you're playing music. And you finish, and these big poof hand claps from the count. And he says, "Very well done. Very well done. Although I find their tiny instruments so difficult to hear." He says,
Hmm.
"But from what I could get, very well done." He says, "I'm sorry, I do not have the information you seek. But now that I know
No, what?
that you seek this information,
Yeah.
I'll boil you for soup." No, I'm just joking. He
I'll
says,
Your bones to make me bread.
yeah, he says,
Yeah.
"I certainly will keep my eye out." He says, "For this Nightstone, who may have it or anything else." He says, "My wife has little trust for we folk, but I have always given them benefit of the doubt, and it's always, well, it's never bit me in the ass." He says, "That's if I find anything out, I can perhaps make sure you get that information as well."
Yes. My colleague over here, the devilish one in the armor,
Mhm.
has an ability to send messages over great distances with only a certain passing familiarity.
Sending spell. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes, yes,
Do you
yes.
also have that capabilities?
I can do something.
Okay. If we're out in our adventures in any one of these other giant realms, is there anything you are curious about or would like us to inform you of?
Any information about Historia,
Okay.
the great giant kingdom, fell during the war between the giants and the dragons?
Yeah, recently, I've heard that some freaking cult members were attempting to raise Tiamat up in the far north.
This is true.
Oh, that must have
Well,
been horrible.
I mean, it's true that like however, that Tiamat tried coming here us giants did nothing, and it's true that Lord Danon, which hasn't communicated with the giant kind in generations, suddenly decided to dissolve the ordning as punishment for our lack of willingness to do anything against the dragons as punishment. He says that is true.
So, are dragons your number one enemy at the moment?
Dragons will always be our sworn enemy. He says
Okay.
that's part of why we're trying to find Historia. Because the dragons had their chance of an uprising and we did nothing. So we gotta like protect ourselves from that, or even find a way of like destroying dragons altogether. Whatever Historia could uncover for us. But we gotta protect ourselves from the dragons.
Okay.
We do.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. And so if we will tell you anything we know about Astoria and any plots by dragons. And I assume that you will also share such information with us.
We will.
You are a wise and powerful leader. May your clan be blessed for a long time.
Well, who knows how long it'll take me to make it up to my wife, because she doesn't, as I said, she has little trust for small ones. And I'm afraid that fear has passed on to my eldest son. And if he takes control of this clan someday, well, I don't want him to have a hatred.
I do not wish that either.
He says, for there are some, my kind, who do, that see the little ones only as less than vermin. And well, it's a shame. It's a shame. We shall live along together in peace, with cloud giants on top, of course. But
Yeah, definitely overhead of us in the sky. Wow.
yeah, yes, yeah. Well, we're bigger. We're smarter. We're older. We can handle this world and keep it safe. The little races have nothing to fear with us protecting them, taking care of them, as we would with all living beings that chose to work peacefully with us.
A benevolent absolutist. I suppose it's time for us to take our leave of you. Thank you very much for your and your hospitality. The wine was impeccable.
Thank you. It was delicious. I would love it. And your song was great entertainment. I shall be humming it to myself all day.
Perhaps if you wish your son to learn to work with the small folk, you may perhaps you could send him with us and he could learn of the valor and courage that we show every day.
Oh, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's ready to try that again yet.
Worth trying.
Yeah, well, you see, last time we like sent him around little folk, yeah, you know, it didn't well. Yeah, it's yeah. It'll be a while till we try that again. I don't think he meant it. Well, he certainly didn't do it maliciously.
What happened last time?
Well, there's always like, and you see like he switches masks. He has like a concerned mask look.
Hmm.
And he's like, well, there's always two sides to every coin. Well, I don't know. I personally think he thought that they could swim better than that.
Hey, you wouldn't happen to have a +3 dagger of
Ah, I
giants
see.
going to loan us, would you?
A what?
Don't push it.
The dragon slaying sword that was acquired in Setting of the Hill Giant Chief.
Oh
actually
yeah.
belonged-
Oh no, I lent that to someone. I lent it to someone. Yeah, I never did get it back.
Oh.
Never did get it back.
I'm just hoping. I'm just throwing shit out there. I'm hoping to get something.
Yeah, I do. I really have very little to offer you as far as information on specific giants, but no, it's. But
Well, thank you for your time and your hospitality, Count.
like
Count.
if
Speaking of Count, does anybody else but me think that Iranian general that America assassinated a couple weeks ago looks exactly like Count Dooku?
Yep.
I mean, that's like we killed the fucking separatist leader. I mean, what the hell? He looks exactly like him. Continue.
So just like Palpatine had Dooku killed,
Mm-hmm.
so who
And
had
Palpatine
this guy killed?
they were technically on the opposite sides, but were they just trying to, drum up conflict in order to take over power? Because you can take over power with conflict more than you can during times of peace. So maybe I don't know.
Yeah, hard to say.
All right.
Like Dooku.
All right. I guess we're going to Golden Fields then.
Um,
Oh, by the way, can we have transport down? Our Griffin seemed to have left.
Yeah, just jump.
yes. He says that I can arrange. And he says, I'll guide you out. And he guides you out. The one kid clutching the griffin comes walking out and walks alongside of her father, and he just rests his hand on her shoulder as they walk. He leads you to the edge of the cloud. A wisp of it extends out, and it goes quite some distance and connects to the top of Mount Waterdeep. And it forms into stairs. And then the daughter says something to her dad that only Michael understands. And she says, Daddy, make it a slide.
Bah.
That would be cool.
And he chuckles. And he says, like, clearly he knows that you understand him, Michael, and you're like, that'd be cool. And he says, if you so choose, he motions with his hand, and the steps smooth out. Then of course there's like side rail and stuff.
Okay, I'll slide down.
Okay,
Awesome.
And after I
It's
do my cloak
it's
will-
exactly as awesome as you imagine, but somewhat terrifying because you're just like you could just like. I just got a little bit of a ledge, right? Like it just feels like you're gonna go flying out,
Is
but
is the
you
giant,
don't.
is the giant girl gonna try this out as well?
No. But she is like jumping up and down like with
I'm
excitement as each
I'm
time you
gonna
guys go.
slide down.
Yeah, and when you like go and you're like rattling and clattering in your armor and stuff like that, yeah. And she's like oohing and awing and like whooping and jumping and yeah, and it's that fun. It's as fun as it sounds like it would be. And you guys like
Darrell will go on up and he'll like surf it on down like he's standing on a snowboard going.
roll and acrobatics.
Okay, let's see here. All right, that's a 14 on the die, and his modifier 6. That's a 20.
Oh yeah. Dirty 20, no problem. You do it just casually. You just step down in your soft boot soles. Just
And as he's going down, he'll holler, "What about our alliance?"
Too late.
he raises his hand.
Well,
And like
Adam.
you're not sure if it's like a wave of acknowledgement or a wave goodbye. But
Well, Garl will take it that it was an affirmation that he has an alliance now with him for his
well, of course he
Goblin
will.
clan.
Of course he will.
And that you are betrothed to his daughter when she becomes a married age.
Garl, the most presumptive,
Garl's-
Sturverblin ever.
Garl's gonna have so many wives, so
I like,
he probably already does.
I like how he just presumes stuff, eh? He just, all right, we're good then? All right, yay, king of the world!
Hey.
You guys, after like a brief, exciting time, basically come rolling and clattering out onto like the flagstones of like the massive flat and courtyard area of Mount Waterdeep, and there are already like even guards there, just because I mean, probably saw this ramp solidifying, then whatever it came to see, and you guys come spilling out, and they just help you guys up, ask you a couple questions, and set you on your way.
We're not breaking the law, sliding into Mount Waterdeep. Cool.
Yeah. When you look up to the castle, you can see like the ramp has already dissolved away, and you can see griffins in squadrons here and there, and
I wave in the direction of the castle, but I doubt he can see me from up there.
oh, it's a long ways up. It is a long ways up.
I don't even know if I can see him because if he's all the way up there, I don't know.
And the clouds and everything.
Yeah. So to Golden Fields.
Speaking of clouds, you guys see Cloud land on a nearby like wall top or rooftop or something like that, and he has clutched in his hands probably like more seeds or a seed pod or something.
Oh yeah, he probably planted one of them somewhere in the castle. One of his big ones.
Well, they're already and probably grab some more from the.
Yeah.
One. So.
Has some of the plants from the keep.
Something. Oh, let's put it this way. even though like he doesn't get a chance to say it, I know he's planting stuff everywhere,
Yeah.
and I've been
He's definitely going to plant some in Golden Fields.
He's
Some
spreading the
stuff done
seed
here.
everywhere.
you guys are able to locate your horse and your wagon.
Do we
And
want to check in with Little Silverhand before we go, or no?
We should at least tell her we're okay.
Yep, in case she gets worried.
Yeah, and that's all. I mean, we can hand wave that though. Just like, hey, check in.
Garl will inform her that the goblins now have an alliance with the cloud giants.
And would she like to also ally themselves with the
Yes.
god?
Garl, the forever ambassador and dignitary.
And how far is it to Golden Fields? Like how long will it take?
I said I've been
Yes.
trying to find it out, and I'm not sure if it's like 3 days or 6 days or whatever. If someone could
Well,
do that,
regardless,
I've been trying. It's east. It's not that far away.
Regardless, at the end of this, at the end of this day, I'll offer to send a message to Stingbit for Garl if he wants to.
Oh, yeah. And in that message, Garl will say, I affirmed an alliance with Waterdeep and the Cloud Giants for us.
Okay. I say exactly what he said.
Okay. Her return is
Why'd you interrupt me? I was on the toilet.
Jet.
people don't even apologize for that anymore. She says, word has traveled to us that goblins from many places are being conscripted into armies by giants of all kinds.
Oh shit.
What about your greenness?
I informed Garl of this.
Garl will say, well, we'll have to go ahead and take care of some of this at some point.
Do you think we should take care of the problem with the goblins before we head to Golden Fields, or do that first?
Your greenness.
No,
might
right.
get
I meant just like
conscripted.
everywhere. Because like, let's put it this way. All that I'm trying to get across is that like, in almost any encounter here in the book, if like majority of them, surprisingly, it's like there's always like X amount of giants, X amount of goblins. They're getting the goblins from somewhere. Is all
Yeah.
I'm saying, right?
All right.
If you're a goblin, word is starting to travel that like giants are like, look out if you see giants because they're fucking conscripting goblins. And because normally it never ever is any consideration in an adventure, but because we actually have a connection to some goblin NPCs, it's relevant. It's relevant to them. It's a concern
Yes.
of theirs.
My subjects.
It's a concern. Like, holy shit, every encounter has like 2d6 goblins. They're not just coming from nowhere. Right? Wouldn't that be a concern of goblins?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's It's all that she's passing on because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, by the way, he's making a deal with storm giants, and she's like, giants,
Sorry.
fucking giants are. We heard giants are conscripting us to armies.
You're gonna have to
No,
clarify what
well,
kind of an
no,
alliance
not
it
all of
is.
them.
As a goblin, anything to do with giants is very concerning at this point in time.
Hmm.
I mean, it
That's
normally
very-
is, but
So, what do you want to do, Garl? We can
giants are bad for everyone, right?
we can head back and make sure your subjects are okay, or we can head to Gordonfield.
We'll head to Golden Fields, of course. My subjects are fine. My greenness went and responded to you, so
Yeah,
things are fine. It's just that
yeah.
we may have to free a few along our travels.
Yeah, we'll check back in with Stingbit after we've dealt with the situation in Gordonfield.
Damn it, I wish I could see because I think mapping, I think that one of them should be along the way to the other one somewhere.
It is over 30 square miles.
What, Golden
It's
Fields?
located south of Barge Right Inn on the
Yeah.
western side of the River Desrin at the end of the Northborough Trail.
And the
Damn, I'm on
Desserin,
the wiki right here.
and the Desserin Valley, that's where you guys have been hearing like all the pilgrims coming from, and a lot of the giant attacks in general are in that Desserin Valley.
There's an abbey, it's a walled town.
A massive walled town.
Yeah, about 5,000 people.
It's a massive walled town because,
Mhm.
like I'm talking like miles across, because there's like fields inside of it, right? Like it's, you find your wagon, you find your horse, and I want someone to roll me a die 20. Just a non-modified die 20.
13.
They donate this food in honor of Shantae? Oh my god.
Yeah.
13.
Well, it's not all donated.
Okay.
They donate the services. Like, I mean, it is like merchant caravans, and some is donated, and because it is always a lot of charity too. But I mean, but that's where a lot of the
Golden Gut Brewery.
Yeah.
Some 60 people worked in the brewery during its
I think it's
namesake Golden Gold.
yeah, they make their own. You find your 2 NPCs there as well. That's what the die 20 roll was for.
Who are the NPCs?
You have your dwarf with the lessening wicked gleam in his eye.
I thought
The
he was
West Wicked.
striking out
The
his
West,
own-
the West Wicked Gleam. Yeah.
And then what you call it? And then
Sirac.
yeah, Serac.
That dude's not going to.
Well, no, he just hasn't caught his boat yet,
Okay.
but he'll be catching it.
Yeah. Well, Sirac, we're heading out. Would you?
And then you guys just got to decide if you're gonna let Warvel go with him or if you're gonna keep Warvel with you.
That's up to what Warvel wants, I guess.
Yeah, I'd like to keep Orwell with us though, but he's a free man to do as he so chooses.
Not if we
As always,
turn
it's better to have friends than not.
not if we turn him in, he won't be a free man.
Fair enough.
I don't want to turn him in though.
Well, you guys will have to decide soon because you guys can leave anytime you wanted, actually. And Zarak will
Oh, like I say,
catch his
whatever
first
would
ships.
you, whatever would you like? Would you like to stay with us? We're gonna go kill some stone giants.
Stone giants.
And
My
Garl,
inclination would be to run and hide. Like,
Well, the stone
Go
giants
down
live
south,
underground, so that would be kind of running and hiding. And it's better to have friends around you than not.
well, I may be a bandit lord or whatever, bandit leader, whatever the fuck. But I'm still a dwarf. I made ye an oath of ale, and well, I feel like my life is yours for now.
Garl will be there waiting to see if he gets a reply back from old Silverhair about joining the Goblin Alliance and the Cloud Giant Alliance with with them, and for Waterdeep to come on in and to actually hear from her, even though he already told his greenness that we locked that in, baby.
And I think you made a deal with her and the goblins last time.
Well, probably did, but
I
think we did.
I think
Yeah,
you did.
just
That was one of the conditions.
Yeah, just reassuring that all in there before he leaves. So he's saying in his mind, check that box. Got that box.
Garl, if you're worried about your subjects, you may want to tell them to come to Waterdeep.
Well, maybe, but we got to free them up first. We'll find them and free them as we go, and spread the grand news of Garl the Great, the King of the Goblins.
And just then, something comes flying, kind of bounces off your face and lands like on the wagon. Like, you guys are just standing. You guys haven't even gotten going yet. You're just getting your shit together, and it hits you in the face, and it bounces. It just kind of bounces into the wagon.
I look up. Is there a cloud overhead of us?
No, it's. And you look down. It's an origami bird.
I don't know who sent that.
Is this some fucking oh my god, Blade Runner shit?
I open up the origami bird.
It's a letter from Look Down, Layrel. It basically is like, so how to go type thing. Like, from Layrel.
All right.
From who?
Like Lady Layrel Silverhand, yeah.
Oh.
I might have said something different. I don't know. Yeah, the open lord lady there.
I turn it over and write a reply saying that it went well, and
we're off to defend the Golden Fells.
Yeah, and we're off to Golden Fells now to try to deal with that problem. Does she know of any other? She said there was multiple adventuring companies and that come and asked her about taking care of the Cloud Giants, so maybe one of them are going in that direction as well.
Damn it! I'll get patronage out of this shit. So I suppose we'll just have to settle for the loot we find.
Also, Garl will say, tell her, remember, set a date for our marriage.
Yes.
I'm not writing that.
Wimp. No balls. No balls.
So yeah, send a message, tell her where I'm going, ask if she knows of any other venturing companies that might be going in that direction. So what happens? Do I fold it back up and it flies off back to her?
I don't know. What are you doing?
You got a point.
I-
At least use your sending spell to ask her if there's any caravans. At least we can get guard pay or something on our way there. Make
Yeah,
something.
fuck it. Oh,
I'm broke.
I'll just use my sending spell to send her the message back then, telling her how kind of that's good. Just very briefly, like that it went well, and we're heading up to Golden Fields and asking her about the what do you want to ask her, Nicodemus?
If she knows of any caravans heading out there that need to hire people, we might at least
Yeah.
get paid for our journey. I'm broke. I need money. I
We're
didn't.
not broke.
I relay that.
We have all the wealth of my allies and kingdom behind us.
Well,
What
your
do you need?
kingdom are low on wine.
The most valuable thing to have.
What do you need?
Such a
Nick?
beautiful view from up here on top of the mountain.
What do you need Nicodemus? Because we could take a few days and you could produce a bunch of wine and sell that out for a bit.
Why? So I can buy more wine? Please.
Or if you really need gold, I've got a bunch of money. I don't spend a lot.
Sorry, just looking for patronage. My bad.
Yeah, you like to say I did relay that to her.
It's not like there's any equipment or anything I'd like to buy. I'm pretty much set on the equipment as long as our wagon's full, you know.
I'm also fighting for equipment and stuff.
Same here.
Just put it on the tab and have it charged back to old Silverhand.
Well,
Part of our alliance.
if we
That might be a bit much.
if we don't need anything, should we get going?
Yes.
Oh, while we're
Might as well.
traveling, I'm just suggesting, Carl, that you try to alter, emulate, otherwise replicate said the paper you have from Silverhand as a not definition of whatever it is that you got it to say, and allow it to be a requisition form. Kind of like a Waterdeep credit card.
Well, if Nicodemus is asking if I have any paperwork of official status from Waterdeep, Garl will say, yes, I do. Don't worry about it. Let me get my stuff out here and I'll find it. And on our way going there, Garl will go ahead and use his forgery kit and go ahead and construct a truce of alliance with paper there between the Waterdeep and his goblin kingdom, and saying with this exploration and defense expenses will be shared by Waterdeep and the Goblin Kingdom, and sign her name and copy her mark.
Okay.
Share. What does that mean? We get like half off or something?
We'll leave that into interpretation.
And don't bother rolling now, because that's the type of
Okay.
thing we'll roll when it matters. Because if you roll now, we'll have to try to remember or write it down. Or
Yeah.
so. Okay.
And the quality of work could differ upon the perspective of the person.
Well, that's do what Michael. I was just thinking the exact same thing. I literally was. I was like, I can actually see some people might work on.
All right. Does anything happen on our way to Gordon Fields?
Let's put it this way. You guys leave behind Serac
Yep.
at the harbor. He's found a boat going south. They say they're going down as far south as Schalt.
That's pretty far south.
And he says that's about as far as he can reasonably think of. Plus, it's hot there. So
Be careful of the dinosaurs.
Take good care of yourself.
and he's like,
I mean, in a world with dragons, who gives a fuck about a dinosaur? I mean,
True.
seriously, T-Rex
Exactly.
really loses its luster and like, oh my god, it's a T-Rex. Well, at least it doesn't breathe fire.
Carl will say, you got to try their shaved ice down there. I hear it's renowned.
you can see he's got some seeds, some big seeds, clearly that were like given by Cloud, and he's like, well, he's like, who knows what's gonna grow from these down there in that heat and humidity. Invasive species of giant size,
They weren't
whatever.
thinking about it at the time.
No, not at all. And he says, well, I thank all of you for keeping me alive. And he says, if I ever find my father or find out anything about the ring, I'll keep you informed.
Well, thank you.
And
You have access to a sending spell as well.
I don't, but
You
he
truly
taps the side of his nose. He goes,
Hey.
I know kind of people to look for.
Okay. People like my devilish friend here, who apparently is quite useful. He is unique. Apparently, no one else can do this. I'm impressed.
Well,
Perhaps
not everyone uses magic.
perhaps you could pray for this spell as well, Nicodemus.
Really? Is it a clerical spell?
Yeah, it's a cleric spell. Sending.
Oh, I could do that? Well, shit, never mind.
Gar will ask.
Yes, any high level cleric could do it.
Gar will ask Serac for his autograph, just something to remember him by. Just sign this piece of paper right here.
Sign blank form at the bottom.
You know what? He's actually gonna give each of you guys a small carving. Basically, it could be like a brooch or a pendant or kind of carved in what the hell is it? But the fish bone that they would do scrimshaw in way up in Icewind Dale and Bryn Shander. That bone-headed trout or whatever it's called.
Knucklehead trout.
What?
Is it knucklehead trout?
Maybe it is knucklehead trout. Yeah. And they like export that bone everywhere, and that's where it comes from. And that's he gives you guys each like a small little carving representative towards each of you. Like it could even like silence if you wanted. It could even be like a little flute or something, or a whistle, or like same thing. Like Nicodemus could be like a bottle opener,
There you go.
a corkscrew, or you know,
Mine's probably a lightning bolt.
like a lightning bolt cloak pin or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it could even be a holy symbol, even.
Hmm.
And Garl, same thing. I don't even know. A comb.
Gar will take whatever it is to remember him by, but he'll just say, "Here, sign this. I just need a certificate of authenticity that is so I can put with it."
He laughs. He says, I don't need you forging my name while I'm gone on like everything from loans to leases to
well, he's been with us for a
love
while,
notes,
so
love letters.
He knows. Yeah.
Hey, he's a handy little gnome. What can I say?
And that's and he'll get on the ship and go. And he even gives something for Warvel. An ice pick. I don't know. What would he make for Warvel? What do you think he made for Warvel, you guys?
An eye patch.
An eye patch to hide the wicked gleam?
Yeah. A smiley, a winky eye patch.
And he gets on this ship, and you assume they'll be leaving
Wave
soon.
him goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see him like from above the deck. He like leaves over the rail and waves. He's got like a duffel bag of mostly his fur coat and stuff like that. He doesn't have a whole lot of belongings, but
Garl turn around and start heading out and kick the dirt and say, he wouldn't give me a certificate of authenticity. That little rat. Let's get going. Forget him.
We know you miss him.
I'm just gonna send a message to Markham, letting him know that Sirac got safe with the water deep and he's on his way to Chult.
yes. Come on. All right. Anyways, so you guys, we can like.
Yeah. Did you hear me there? I sent a message to Markham, letting him know that Sirac got safe with the water deep and he's on a boat to Chult.
Oh, okay. Marco says, all right. He says,
okay.
Good to hear he made it safely. We haven't had any attacks since.
Oh, good. Heading to Golden Fields.
All right. And caller quits there. Apparently my ride's here already. I didn't even know that. Anyways. So yeah, we'll call her there. It's 4:00 anyways, my time.